The new patriotic party has hit hard at the NDC for mocking the height of the NPP's presidential candidate, Nana Akufo-Addo, and describing the party as divided. Neelante Vanderpoy told a charged crowd at the just-ended NDC campaign launch in Cape Coast that the presidency is not for short people. As if that wasn't enough, President Mahama also chastised the NPP presidential candidate for breeding division and a culture of silence in the party.
The verbal abuse has led to a culture of silence in the party, and even though the emperor is wearing no clothes, everybody is afraid to tell him so.
That notwithstanding, former President Rawlings, who is also founder of the NDC, warns the NDC must not underestimate their major opponent, the NPP.
The NPP cannot be underestimated. You know it, I know it.
But beyond this warning, and the launch of the NDC campaign leaves many questions begging for answers. One of them, what next for the NDC after this big event, especially as it is being cautioned not to be complacent? We'll be getting some reactions from the NPP and the NDC, plus some independent analysis from political and governance analysts. This is today's big story. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. The NDC on Sunday launched its campaign at the Cape Coast Stadium, where thousands of party members, including the party founder Jerry John Rawlings, gathered. President Mahama, who launched the campaign themed Changing Lives, Transforming Ghana, says the campaign will reflect its achievement and what it intends to do, giving another term in office. Now, President Mahama's running mate, Pakwese Mr. Arthur, as well as the party's national campaign team and parliamentary candidates were also outdoored. We can listen to the President, John Dramani Mahama, launching that campaign.
It was said of the Bourbon dynasty that they learnt nothing and forgot nothing. The same can be said of the current leadership of our opponents. Developments in the largest opposition party threaten the democratic health of our country. It is said that the nature of an organization is founded on the character of its leadership. The largest opposition party has prided itself as the apostles of democracy. And this has metamorphosed in recent times into a very intolerant organization. Those who can hurl the most verbal abuse are the most respected and hailed in that party. They are patted on the back by the leadership for doing a good job. The soul of the party has been captured by the hawkish and intolerant fringe of the party. And this group has cowed the moderates and other level-headed members of the party into silence. Anyone who raises his or her voice against the current leadership is promptly savaged in the media and on other platforms. And even the former president, on whose record the party is running, has not been spared his share of these insults. The verbal abuse has led to a culture of silence in the party, and even though the emperor is wearing no clothes, everybody is afraid to tell him so. The party has become intolerant of dissenting opinion, and those who have spoken up have been promptly dealt with, removed from office, and threatened with fiscal harm. These days, only a few dare raise their heads in opposition to the leadership, and all are waiting for the bus to crash and then to repair it and bring it back on the road. The suspected Agenda 2020 is a result of the intolerance in the current leadership of that party. And this intolerance stretches even outside the party. Any person who says anything positive about John Mahama or the NDC administration is promptly set upon with insults. religious people, chiefs, celebrities have all been harassed for expressing their support for the NDC administration. And yet there are chiefs and celebrities who have expressed support for the presidential candidate of the NPP, and nobody has insulted them for that. This cannot be healthy for our democracy. A mark of competence and good leadership is to unify your followers behind you. And that is not the case in that party today. I know these comments I've made would elicit a barrage of insults, but I've already borne the brunt of MPP's insults, vilifications, and lies. Indeed, they have won an Olympic gold medal in that department. And in the Olympic Games, there's nothing higher than a gold medal. But as our illustrious Professor Jonathan Mills said, Ziu Fiasem. So let me refocus on our party that is united and poised for victory in December, God willing.
Even though ex-President Rawlings seemed to be pregnant with words he seeks to deliver after the elections, he did not mince words in warning the NDC not to jubilate over the NPP yet.
The NPP cannot be underestimated. You know it, I know it. They've been in existence for a long time and have been changing their names up till this day. The nature of who they are, what they are, where they've come from, is something they are happy with, and they will be there for a long time. The calculation I want to put before you is that by virtue of who and what they are, their mannerisms, their character, will necessarily give rise to what you and I are in the NDC. In other words, listen carefully. By virtue of who we are, where we've come from, how we came about into being, I keep saying we cannot afford to fight them on their terms. It's important that we fight them on our terms. What are those terms? In other words, let's not mimic their behavior. Let us reach into the principles and the values that emerged out of the circumstances that gave birth to us. And if we can hold onto those principles and those values, we will move way into the future and no one can ever defeat us.
We just had another John. The John of one, what does one here party no more? We are friend John Waganan, Umbra, NDC. On the way from Accra, I saw a number of billboards saying change is coming. I don't know if there's any opposition party in the world that goes for an election and does not talk about change. Because if you say that things are fine, there's no change, then there's no reason for the party to contest the election. So every opposition party will talk about change. So change for an opposition party is normal. But this change that they are talking about is different. They are threatening the people of Ghana with change.
Let's do some analysis now. Anthony Cabo is MPP Deputy Communications Director. He joins me in the studio. Welcome to today's big story, Anthony. The NDC describes your party as one that is divided. It talks about a party that has breeded a culture of silence, a party whose leaders do not know which direction they're going. And above all, it describes your presidential candidates as short, and adding that the presidency is not for short people. How do you take all of these?
Well, thank you very much. I think it's quite unfortunate that at the launch of the NDC's campaign, they rather sought to launch Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo instead of touting their achievements and talking about what the good people of this country, the mandate given to them, and whether they've delivered on that mandate. It's very sad. I heard the president and I shook my head while I was listening to His Excellency the President speak. It appears to me that the president himself is not in touch with the grassroots. The president has lost the understanding, the critical understanding of what governance is all about. And if you listen to kinds of things that the president was putting out, it was very pathetic to say the least. I mean, first of all, the president talked about the fact that the MPP is divided. This is a political party that has given its flag bearer 95% of the entire grassroots support of the party. How divided is this party? This is a political party that in record time had gotten all elections right down from the polling station to the constituency to the regional, and of course naming our flag bearer and running mate at the same time, naming a campaign team, and we are very focused. At the time that the president was speaking in the Western region, our flag bearer was in the Central region, our flag bearer was in the Western region canvassing for votes, indeed engaging on his grassroots campaign. I also heard another part of the president's speech which he sought to make the point that there's a culture of silence in the MPP. I mean, the Atta Kennedys of this world are still speaking, for Christ's sake. The Rekrubobis of this world are still speaking, for Christ's sake. You know, and many more people have shown dissenting views in the political party. But a party that is unable to discipline its members surely will get into government. And like they have gotten into government, many people who have been cited for corruption, certainly the president cannot crack the whip. He has rather accommodated them at the presidency, indeed heightening public perception that indeed he's an indecisive leader. And that is the consequence of where this country's economy has led to. I heard Mr. Neil Antivandapoy. I want to find out, how tall is Neil Antivandapoy in the first place? This is a short man, a short minister of state, a minister we're paying with our taxes, all of a sudden has the impetus to go on national radio on the campaign team to say that the MPP's flag bearer is short and the presidency is not for people who wear glasses. Indeed, the presidency has got nothing to do with the height of people. President Mills wasn't tall. President Nkrumah was never tall. But we've seen the sterling performance of these people when they have been in power. Akufo-Addo is talking about a pragmatic program. He's talking about the vision for this country. He's talking about restoring confidence in the economy. He's talking about growing Ghana's economy. He's talking about creating the kind of jobs that can absorb the teeming youth who are out there who are unemployed. These are the issues that the government are unable to address. And I don't think that anywhere in the world, the presidency is about how tall you are. The deliverables of good governance has no place for height. And I think it was very insulting. The president talked about the fact that the MPP has won an Olympic gold medal right there at the stadium. The president should have handed over this gold medal to Mr. Neil Antivandapoy because he attacked his opponent, insulted short people in this country, and claimed that those people can never ascend to the throne of the presidency in this country. I think that smacks of breathtaking arrogance, and this is where the country is being led to.
Don't you think the president made the statement, for instance, that the party is divided because of some events we've seen in the NPP?
I mean, the NDC has had its fair share of the internal squabbles. I mean, His Excellency former President Rawlings himself had problems with Atta Mills. At the time, people like John Mahama, who were vice presidents, were also attacking former President Rawlings. Former President Rawlings' wife contested Atta Mills, and we saw the barrage of insults that were held on the first family, the Rawlingses, to the point where the wife of the leader of the party, who was indeed the vice chairman of the party, had to leave and form a new political party. I mean, and the campaign coordinator himself had occasion to have been suspended by the party because of his involvement in a scheme which the NDC claimed was meant to derail the efforts of Professor Mills when he was alive. And so to find them turn around all of a sudden to create this, you know, erroneous impression that the MPP is divided is far-fetched. And it's very clear that this NDC government and John Mahama have no message for the Ghanaian people. 8 years of their administration this election in 2016 is essentially about this government. It's about whether they have delivered on their I care for you promise. It's about whether or not young people are able to get jobs. As we speak, our economy is on the downward spiral. We handed over an economy that was growing on the real GDP at 8.4 to this government. By the close of this year, Ghana's economy is growing at 3.2%. That certainly cannot be an economy that is transforming. We handed over an economy to these people when agriculture was growing at 6.3%. Today, agriculture is growing at 0.2%. And even the crop subsector is growing at negative 1.6%. Clearly, this is not a government that is delivering on its mandate. You also recall that the president talked about many of the achievements of the NDC, but failed to mention one of the pet projects which the president himself speaks so much about, SADA. 260 million Ghana cedis have been allocated for SADA. Until date, the NDC and President Mahama have not been able to account to the people of the Savannah area how these monies have been spent.
I'll have you hold because Fred Agbenyo is Deputy Communications Director of the NDC. He joins us via phone. Fred, your party seemed to be very much convinced of victory in the 2016 polls. In fact, a lot of the things said at the campaign launch confirms this. And your main campaign thrust is your track record for the past 4 years. Yet you and I know there is still room for improvement. How do you seek to convince electorates, especially those who have had to bear the brunt of the energy crisis through the folding of their businesses, those who have lost their jobs, and the list goes on?
Good evening, and thank you very much for having me. Good evening to my brother Cabo. It is true that the NDC is going to win the next elections. God in heaven has determined so. The people of this country have also said so. And so, sorry, pardon me for my voice. And so, whatever the case is, by the grace of God, by the consent and support of the people of this country, we are going to win the next election. There's no two ways about that. There's no ambiguity about that. There's no contest about that. It is true that there are people still in our society who have not gotten the things that they want. And it's also a truism that there's nowhere in the world where the citizens of a country have gotten everything that they aspire for, that they want. By looking at what this president has been able to do within the number of years in office, the people agree that he has laid a very solid foundation. He's taking this country on the right path, and so they are ready to support him for us to continue to build on that path. I've heard some people talking about economic indicators. The point is that by the time we came into office in 2008, inflation was hovering around 18.1%. Today, inflation is below that. If you recall that, Professor Mills, we had inflation for single digits for almost 2 years, something we have not experienced for more than 4 decades. We remember in 2007, agriculture grew at negative 1.7%. Today we are talking about 2.5%. That regime, under which it was negative, was not an NDC regime. The energy crisis, almost every government that came in our history experienced energy crisis. I'm talking about the PNDC to the Fourth Republic dispensation. We have all gone through energy crisis. But the question is, the investment that has been done by this government, is there any government in the Fourth Republic that has done as much as we have done? President Mahama's concern is how to build this country, how to transform the lives of the people of this country, how to create employment opportunity for the youth of this country. It is for the reason he's building several hospitals. It's for the reason he's building several schools. It's for the reason he has built the cement factory in the northern region. The Bupation nut factory is on last we speak today. The Commander Sugar Factory has come back today. We are building a fish processing factory today. As we speak now, if you go to Kumasi, the shoe factory is coming out, it's working. It has employed a lot of people. We have built a brand new university in the Volta region. The first graduates have completed. Eastern region, just Thursday, coming this Thursday, they are going to cast out for the commissioning of that brand new university. Bonahafo region, we have built a new university over there. And so our track record, the mandate that people give to us, how far we have carried the mandate is what the people of this country are going to look on to make a determination as who continue to govern this country. I don't think that what we have gotten to as a people now, we want to leave our country in the hands of trial and error, where people think that, yes, because either the father or family member has been a president before, so necessarily must be given the mandate to come and govern.
Fred, there are people who have described your party as being abusive after all the description you gave to the NPP. Were all those abusive words necessary?
How do you mean? What do you mean by abusive? The point is this, that people spoke on a platform. Now, tell me any single thing that was on that platform that was not true.
The MPP feels offended that Nilante van der Poel, for instance, described the presidential candidate as short, and that the presidency is not for short people.
Nilante van der Poel never mentioned the name of the flag bearer of NPP. This is a question I have personally asked myself. I am not a top person, I'm just an average height person.
So you are not entitled to be president one day?
The commander of Ghana Armed Forces is the president of the Republic of Ghana. I'm sure the military, they recruit people based on some particular height. I've asked myself if my height will qualify me one day to become the commander of Ghana Armed Forces. That's the question I've asked. It's left the military to answer. This issue about somebody being torn, not being torn, somebody being shot or not being shot. I remember in the IEA debate before the 2012 elections, MPP went to that platform and they had to go there for a kitchen stool and ask the flag bearer to stand on the kitchen stool to project himself to a particular height. If they think that height is not a problem, why didn't they allow the man to stand on the ground for people to see what he really represents? Why were they trying to deceive everybody? Why did they go there for a kitchen stool?
But the 1992 Constitution does not describe anybody who wants to be president. I mean, it doesn't require anybody to be president to be tall or short.
I don't have any problem with it. The difficulty I have with it is when people start shying away from what they look like. I've admitted that I am not a tall person. My name is Agbenyo. I am not tall. I am an average height person. And wherever I go, I want people to see me and how I look like.
So by what Nilante van der Poel is saying, you also cannot be president because presidency is not for the short people.
The difficulty we have, Aisha, is when a person is trying to shy away from how physically he looks like, so that he go for an IEA debate and he has to go and stand on a stool and project himself to look like.
Does it matter? Is it the personality that matters or the content?
No, you see, when you cannot have confidence in your own personal physical structure that you didn't create by yourself, God gave to you, then it means that we can't even trust you when it comes to other things. For me, the subject of height, short, tall, is not a business. Nothing like that concerns me.
Well, I'll have you hold and pick the thoughts.
Let me just land on a point. What is key, what is critical, is how to change the lives of the people of this country, is how to transform Ghana, and that is a part that President Mahama is moving on.
Well
how to
said,
provide
well
water
said,
for the
well
people,
said, Mr.
provide
Agbenyo.
school, provide hospital care.
Well said, Mr. Agbenyo. Let me take some response from Anthony Cabo, who feels offended that, I mean, whether someone is short or tall, that shouldn't be the debate at all.
Well, I'm not surprised. The president himself took occasion in Kumasi to attack Mr. Ivor Greenstreet, who is the acting, in fact, the general secretary of the CPP and now flag bearer of the CPP. I'm not surprised that this government is neck deep in the attitude of insulting people and their physique. But the good people of this country are looking at the vision of the president. They are looking at the vision of a leader who is coming in to say that, look, we are going to establish one district, one factory. We are going to ensure that we formalize this economy. We are going to ensure that we create jobs for young people. We are going to restore the teacher training allowance. I mean, the president is tall. And so, Doomso has been solved. The president is tall. And so, the economy is rebounded. The president is tall. And so, has he restored the declining growth in manufacturing? I mean, these are the critical issues Ghanaians expect our leaders to address. And so, for you to find a minister who is being paid by the state to be on a national platform insulting the physique of somebody, well, I leave them to God. We will leave them to the good Lord. It is God who has made Akufo-Addo the way he is. It is in God's own eyes and in God's own infinite wisdom that he created Akufo-Addo the way he is. We in the MPP love him. If the NDC and their leader and people like Agbenyo will see it appropriate to be on national TV, actually berating and insulting the physique of a great man like Nana Akufo-Addo, we leave them to God. We can't say much to them. But this breathtaking arrogance from people in government must stop.
Fred, the ex-president Rawlings gave a word of caution.
I need to respond to what Cabo just
said. Okay, quickly.
Well, then
quickly,
there's a lot for me to respond to if he's going on that tangent. There's a lot for me to respond.
I'm sorry.
No, but there's a lot for me to respond.
Fred, please do that. Do that quickly.
So forgive me.
You should have come to the studio.
Please hold on.
I'm sorry, he didn't invite me to come.
Hold on, please do that quickly, Fred. We are running out of time.
The point I'm making is that nobody is insulting the physique. or the physical structure of Nana Akufo-Addo. Nana Akufo-Addo didn't create himself. I didn't create myself. You Cabo is a very huge structure like Jacob Lamte didn't create yourself. We love everybody, and this is a congregation of everybody else. Sometimes we should allow humor to be part of our politics. People make certain comments and they make certain jokes so that people can laugh about it.
But it didn't look like humor, Fred Agbenyo.
This is humor.
Several things happen. Several things
This is
happen
cock
at
and
that
bull
particular
story.
program. Can I land?
No, but this is cock and bull. You cannot be on TV claiming
please,
that. I mean, this is
it.
humor. We take great
He didn't
exception to that.
interact when you were talking.
No,
Fred,
but we
please
take
make
great
your
exception
point.
to that. This
Please
can't be
make your
humor.
point.
My brother, can I
Fred,
land?
make
No,
your
this can't
point.
be
Make
humor.
your point. Anthony, please let him land.
The point I'm making is that really, if we want to all chronicle the things that was said on political platforms, the thing that people from your stock and some political platform, I'm not sure this debate will end today. On political platform, people will make jokes, people will say things that were inside the crowd and people to laugh about. I don't think that anybody is quite another the shortest person in this country.
Well, many thanks to Fred Agbenyo. That's all time will allow us. Thanks so much for your time on today's big story. Now, the president cautioned the NDC not to take the NPP for granted. I mean, is this something that you feel good about?
Well, we have been working tirelessly in the last 7 years. We've been working tirelessly in the last 7 years to recapture political power. We are not relenting on that. Our grassroots organizers are all over the country. They are mobilizing, they are organizing, they are canvassing for votes. The flag bearer himself is leading the effort. And so for sure, we are not going to be pushovers in this election. We are certain that the Ghanaian people will give us the mandate in 2016 and they can go ahead, short or tall. Nana Akufo-Addo will be president of this republic, inshallah, because the Ghanaian people can see clearly their hopes mirror in the man's vision, in his plans, in his programs to get Ghana out of this situation.
Well, many thanks to Anthony Cabo. He's Deputy Communications Director of the NPP. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. We've been talking about NDC campaign launch and matters arising. And have a good evening.